This is Dan Kedmy, a producer on the Webby Award-winning podcast, Masters of Scale. Our Season 4 sponsor, the MasterCard Center for Inclusive Growth, has challenged our audience to contribute to a philanthropic mission of incredible scale. How can you help 2 billion people worldwide gain a foothold in the formal economy? You can start by listening to their ideas on the latest season of Masters of Scale, or you can listen right now. How can you give an economic boost to 8,000 struggling communities across the United States? By shaping the opportunity of opportunity zones.
You know, people aren't poor. Places are poor. And where you're born has a lot to do with how you live and how you succeed.
That's Shamina Singh, president of the MasterCard Center for Inclusive Growth, the philanthropic arm of MasterCard. She thinks a lot about how to help neighborhoods and the people in them succeed. Right now, she has her eye on a new tool for jump-starting troubled neighborhoods.
So there's new legislation that was created this past year that creates opportunity zones. There are about 8,000 of these opportunity zones across the country. They were identified by governors, by mayors, and city officials.
These opportunity zones were created by the U.S. Congress to spur private investment in the nation's poorest communities through a tax incentive, a very powerful tax incentive.
And so now the opportunity, if you will, is to make sure that you're building out these opportunity zones in a way that really makes sense for the communities that are currently living there.
The risk, of course, is that investors may identify an opportunity to build, say, a forest of luxury high-rises smack in the middle of an opportunity zone. How can neighborhoods guard against this? Shamina's colleague, Parag Mehta, would like you to take a closer look at one company town in Chicago that fell on hard times.
Pullman's a neighborhood on the south side of Chicago. This is where the Pullman train cars were manufactured in the late 19th and early 20th century. It's the neighborhood that Michelle Obama's great-grandfather came out of. It's America's first company town. In 2008, when the global economic crisis hit, it was almost like a death blow for Pullman. It didn't seem like it was going to be able to recover. Violence went up. Youth unemployment was huge.
Prosperous Pullman had become a place that was poor. Gradually, over the course of decades, the factories closed, the groceries closed, the stores closed, and when the local bank was bought out by a larger bank, there was a public outcry. So the bank decides to make a $250 million investment in community development, but they don't do it the typical way.
They said, let's actually partner with community organizers, and you tell us where you think we should be investing this money.
Following the community's lead, this development project brought new retail stores, new companies, and new jobs to Pullman. The neighborhood looked like it was rebounding, but looks can be deceiving. Without data, you can't know which programs are truly making a difference, or who they're really helping.
MasterCard decided to investigate 5 years later what was the impact of that investment.
By leveraging aggregated and anonymized data insights, MasterCard could compare Pullman to the surrounding neighborhoods in Chicago.
What we found between 2012 and 2016, the number of digital payments increased by 86%. The number of cardholders doubled in size and had grown at a rate higher than all of the rest of Chicago over the years after the investment.
The data insights reflected what the community suspected, that the $250 million investment had improved the neighborhood for the residents themselves. This proof could drive further investment in Pullman and also offer a model for the other 8,000 plus U.S. neighborhoods that have been designated opportunity zones.
When we find a data insight in a community like Pullman, the real question we ask ourselves is, could this apply to other similar communities?
The Pullman area of Chicago is a perfect example. The Pullman community dictated how a $250 million development fund would be invested, and this got the community deeply invested in its own future. It's a model that anyone working in an opportunity zone could follow, Shamina says.
What we're trying to do is use the community to unlock the talent, unlock the ambition, bring them together around a common goal of attracting investment in their community.
As new stores and restaurants opened in Pullman, it didn't just draw outside dollars. It allowed residents of Pullman to put their own dollars back into the community. Instead of going to a different neighborhood to buy groceries, for example, Pullman residents could now buy them down the block. And this hidden purchasing power has the potential to turn ideas of development on their head.
Really, what we're doing is unlocking local community investment. And isn't that a powerful thing?
If you or your company has technologies or development experience that could unlock the opportunity of opportunity zones, Shamina wants to hear from you. And if you're embedded in a local community, she wants to hear from you too.
We want every local leader to get involved in this. So mayors, of course, governors, academic institutions, people who are doing real estate at the local level.
If you have an idea to work with MasterCard and shape the opportunity of opportunity zones, go to mastersofscale.com/MasterCard Challenge. And if you submit the brightest idea to make opportunity zones a true opportunity, you'll be invited to present it directly to our listeners on a future episode of Masters of Scale. Pitch your partnership to MasterCard at mastersofscale.com/MasterCard Challenge.